I'm going to get on with this, and it's going to be cool, and I'm going to be happy, and that's all that matters. If you're not bleeding at the end, you haven't worked hard enough. That's my motto. So with the copper top and back pretty much done and ready to go, I need to do something with the headstock. I usually have an overlay on the headstock that matches whatever top I've done on the body. So that means on this one it would have to be copper. I've had a think about it. It might work, it might not, I have no idea yet, but I'm going to give it a go and see. I think the best approach is to get the nut marked out first. So I've got the width of the nut on this headstock veneer and then a flat surface for it to sit on, and then at least I know where I'm going to. So I've got a buffalo horn nut for this one, because I'm thinking with the amount of very hard, dense, kind of bright materials like the copper everywhere, a slightly softer nut might work. I like brass for some things, I like bone for others. Buffalo horn kind of has a nice sound, and to be honest it only really makes a difference on open strings anyway. So I'm going to mark out where this is going to sit, and then I'm just going to chisel it away and get ready to do the headstock. Is a buffalo horn nut, mostly cut to shape. I haven't slotted it or cut it finely to height because obviously I need to wait until I've got this set up before I do that. That now probably wants to go back in the box with all the other bits for this guitar. So that's gone away for safekeeping. Now what I need to do is figure out what I'm going to do with the overlay here. So normally what I do is have running up the centre line, kind of almost, it's inspired by the Coppergate helmet, the Viking helmet that was found in York in, I think it was the 80s. Anybody who's visited York will know about the Jorvik Centre, and they'll have probably seen the Coppergate helmet. If they've been in, obviously. If you haven't, visit, it's worth it. It smells weird. We kind of follow this type of line, which I think I can do. That should be fairly interesting in copper. incredibly good conductor, as I'm sure you're aware. That means that sanding it on a machine makes it very hot very fast. Good job my fingertips are pretty much made of leather, because I felt that burning. We are getting there. What I need to do now is take this outside and burn it to match the top. Probably go at it with a hammer a little bit. I don't want to change the shape because it's nice and flat and it's going on a flat surface. What I do want is to give it a little bit of texture. And then I'm going to etch the 4th Avenue Guitars logo in here rather than inlaying it, because I think that will suit the style that I'm going for. Also, I've done enough inlaying for this one. I can't really say that. I've been watching some other people's videos and looking at other people's pictures on Instagram, and my inlay was a bit mental at the start. There's some really nice ones out there now. But I'm going to get on with this, and it's going to be cool, and I'm going to be happy, and that's all that matters. So let's go play with fire. You can wait here. So this is now nicely annealed, actually. I dropped it on a table and it bent itself, and it works easier than the entire top and back did when I made those, which is slightly annoying because I want this one to stay flat. So I need to find a nice hard surface that's nice and flat to work with. So I think I'm probably just going to use this cast top on my sander, because I know that's flat and it's nice and solid, and I'm just going to add a bit of texture to this. I haven't shaped the edges to match this perfectly yet, because obviously I'm going to have to file it flush once it's attached, but we should be close. There we go. I think that'll look rather good. So I'm about to start etching this in. I've cut out the 4th for the 4th Avenue. I'm going to engrave the Avenue part just so it stands out a little differently. If you haven't watched the video that I did where I etched the top, then you should probably go back and watch that, because I explain it in probably a tiny bit more detail. Not really much. I'm not great at the detail on the sciencey stuff, but basically electricery, salt water, sizzling. Good times. The only thing it's lacking is a little bit of texture to tie it in. So I think what I'm going to do is the kind of diamond cutting or jeweling around the edge here, which is going to be a ball ache. So I think it's time to grab out a file. So in the last proper Great Guitar Build Off video, I believe I got the body to this point and beat the copper top. The last video I put out was etching and weathering the back, which is here, and that's been waxed, and it's obviously slightly more green now than it was, which I absolutely love. I think it'll continue to oxidise, and I'll give it another couple of coats of Renaissance wax just to protect it a bit more, which will help stop it as well. And as it's played, it'll wear, some of the etching will disappear, some of it will stand out more. It'll continually change, which is something I quite like the idea of. It's never going to be the same for very long. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen this, but if you don't have to miss out. I'll put some pictures up with some close-ups, but this is now the top. So I used the same process to mask up and draw a design on here. This is obviously Yggdrasil, the Tree of Life. I say obviously, you've got to be a bit of a geek to know that. Nothing wrong with it. I say that as a massive geek. We do also have the Promised Squirrel. But this, I didn't do the electrolytic etching. I used liver of sulphur, which I believe was suggested in either an Instagram comment or a YouTube comment. I can't remember which. But if it was you that commented it, thank you, it worked brilliantly, and I'll definitely be doing it again. I gave it a couple of goes, and because of the way that the copper's beaten and burned and already oxidised in places, it's come out slightly patchy, and a couple of the blacker areas I left a bit longer flaked off, which has left a really nice effect. It doesn't look like I've just etched it. It looks like I've dug it out of the ground and after it's been there for 800 years. Which is absolutely incredible, and I keep getting distracted and stopping and looking at it. But I think we've reached the milestone where this now needs to be attached to the body. To be able to do things in the order that I want, I have to attach the top first, leave the back to one side, get quite a lot of bits done up here. So I need to route the neck pocket, I need to route 4 pickups, and once the neck is fitted and ready to go in, that's when I can start thinking about sorting the back out. Obviously I want a perfectly flat surface to be working on this for now, whilst I've got some delicate jobs to do on top. Also, the way that I've done the top, it extends into the heel of the neck slightly, so I need to get the neck fitted to get everything flush on the back. But to do this, I'm going to epoxy the whole block and the sides down. And then I'm going to use screws through these holes that I've drilled, which I already said a while ago, I think, that I'm going to alternate black and silver screws, which should contrast with everything else going on, stand out a little bit and make a feature of it. I'm sure I've said in a previous video I don't like using screws. I'm going to be very careful because my main reason is I have a tendency to strip the heads off them. The shelf that they're going into isn't particularly deep, so it's more the quantity than the actual hold of each one. So obviously they're quite closely spaced, so they don't have to take too much tension each, which means that coupled with the epoxy that they'll be going through should hold everything in place nice and snug. The epoxy's fully cured. I've left it the best part of a week to fully go off, and it's now rock solid. This is going absolutely nowhere. What I've started doing is to mark out where my neck pocket's going to go. I've measured the tenon on the neck, which I need to trim down to the right length, so I've measured on the tenon where the extent within the pickup cavity is going to be. And now what I need to do is start trimming away some of the copper in this area so that I can actually route the neck pocket properly. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to use a standard template to route it, just because of I'm not sure how to attach it at the moment, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. So for now I need to get the Dremel and a cutting disc and slice away some of the copper inside this area that I've marked out, just to give me something easier to work with. So I made a very quick template for the neck pocket from OSB. Obviously I'd like to apologise to Chris Franklin for using quality guitar building timber to make templates with, but I think he'll understand. I've soaked the inside of the template that I've made with super glue, which will just harden it up a little bit. I'm going to file this flush and get it to a nice fit before I start figuring out how to attach it to the body and use it for that. Dust mask! Dust extraction. Power. All of the good things. Normally what I do is cut the corners of this pocket completely square to match the ends of the neck tenon, but because I don't want to take a chisel to this copper and blunt it instantly, I think I'm going to round off the edges of the tenon. So I'm just going to slide it into place, which is already a really snug, good looking fit. Oh, that's satisfying. And I'm just going to mark out what I need to take away. I just want to quickly double check how my height at the bridge is going to be. So if I use this, which is not the bridge I'm using, but it's the same dimensions, that will sit around there. We're close, but with the strings sat ever so slightly above the frets, we'll have a millimetre or two at the most underneath the bridge, and that'll sit perfectly. I'm happy with that. With the neck pocket cut in, I now need to cut where the pickups are going to go. Obviously I've got to get through the copper again, so I'm going to use the same method as I did to remove the copper for the neck pocket. And to be honest, I'm probably going to use the same method for routing out the pickups because it works. So I suppose I'd best get my dust mask and goggles in general. To the pickup cavities. I'm not entirely sure I remembered to press record on the camera for quite a lot of it because I was concentrating quite hard on not screwing up the etching and scratching the crap out of the copper. But I've got both of them cut down now. I may need to go a little bit deeper with the holes that I've got for the legs, but that's easy enough to do. I used a force and a bit and a chisel to clean those up. But for now, that's the top almost ready for the neck. I think all I need to do before gluing in the neck is take off this little chunk here, which sits inside the pickup cavity. I've already marked it up and scored a line where I need to cut. Once that's gone, I should be able to glue the neck in. Now that the top is in place and the neck is glued in, I need to fit the heel for the back. Because as I said before, the heel needs carving away for the copper back to sit inlaid in here. So what I need to do is line this up. First time, nice. And mark out where I need to cut into the heel. I did have a pencil 5 minutes ago. There we go. I think that'll work. I just thought what I also could do with doing at this point is marking out where the back lines up with one of my F-holes. because one of the things I like about arch tops and hollow-bodied guitars in general is the label that you get inside that kind of has all the information, which means that I don't have to fight to sign the back of the headstock. So if I can mark out where we line up, it means I can put a label inside here in the right place that you'll be able to see it. So a handy trick for gluing something like this down where it's not on a properly flat surface and you can't really clamp it is a balloon. Because all I want to do is push it down, as long as I avoid any sharp edges, which there are one or two. That will kind of conform to the shape underneath. I'll just roll it around a little bit. Should help press it down properly.